Hey, what's good, people? It is Tony the Savant back again with a special guest. It's not her first time on the platform, so it's pretty much your house too now, Miss Dom. But how you doing?
Hey, Tony, I'm pretty good. Can't complain. It's a
I
beautiful
like
day in California.
really. What's the weather like out there? I love me that sunshine out there.
I live in the Bay Area, so it's just like really pretty. It's nice, like 70 degrees ish. I think it was like 75 today. Not too hot, not too breezy. The night gets super like chill, and it's just really nice here.
I think California is the closest you can get to heaven outside of the paying the taxes.
I wouldn't wish taxes or just the cost of living in general here on anyone.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know about that. I lived out in OC for a month with my older brother, and it was probably one of the best times of my life. But everywhere we went, everything cost like $30. I'm like, I just want a burger, man. I just want a
It's
burger.
true. It's really true. Can of soda is $5.
Whew, whew. Yeah, but let the people know where they can find you, Miss Don. What you got going on?
You can catch me on Sports Tea as well as Man Down Sports every Friday. Yeah, check me out. Like, subscribe to the channel Sports Tea. I'm dropping content as often as I can, so check me out.
I will give you your flowers in this sense, Miss Don. You have a lot of substance, a lot of rewatchable content. I think I watched your Caitlin Clark joint at least 3 times and just caught a new jewel every time. So, uh, you on my list. I already told you on my top 10 list of people I got to check in when I'm doing my research. So, I definitely appreciate your voice in the game. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure y'all swing by Sports Tea. You will not regret it. And as for here at the platform, please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We want to hear what you all have to say about these topics. So, man, we got a heck of a show lined up. We're gonna zoom through these topics, Miss Don, because it's a little late. But I think we got a lot of firepower for the people on this show. And let's kick it off, man. Now we were discussing some things behind the scenes, kind of chopping it up. There's been a lot of typical every day at the office LeBron James stuff to talk about. But we was chopping it up, and I wanted to kind of choose one of the many narratives that's come out of the Clutch Sports LeBron James propaganda machine. I was gonna roll with the whole narrative of him being the second greatest player of all time because there's no way they can fix up a lie to pass up Michael Jordan. But what you rolling with, Ms. Dom?
I think the narrative that LeBron James makes his teammates better is just it's a narrative that we haven't spoken on in a bit. We haven't really debated it much. There's so many narratives that come up about LeBron. I mean, him being the Olympic MVP, that most recent one was probably the worst one as of late. But just when I took a look at that team and how they played throughout the Olympic series, of the medal games, the elimination games, and you see how poorly they played as a basketball team. They didn't cover the spread in any game.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? People are wondering. They think it's because there's so many number one options on the team that these folks don't know how to play together. Maybe, perhaps, but I do think that we can attribute it to LeBron being on the floor so much and LeBron playing that Le system basketball that it's just not really conducive to winning or team basketball. It's
Mm-hmm.
the way that you play when you don't have a great team. It's the way that you play when you need to, give role players at best just your scraps off of the plate, your leftovers. So, number one options were being given, last second, moments to score the ball. We saw Steph Curry play like straight poop in games 1 through 4. We saw Anthony Edwards not look like himself in moments. We saw players having to steal their shine instead of playing together. And there's a reason for that. And I think that, LeBron being at the point guard when you had better players on that team to play in that position, and LeBron essentially swallowing, the point guard role, the small forward role, all in one moment on the floor, I think really hurts the team. And I think that's one of the worst narratives about LeBron is that he's this complete player that makes his teammates better. I don't see that. And we can take it all the way back to the beginning of his career.
I 100% agree. And I think while we was having a little pre-game session, I was literally trying to think of one dude, through the 21 years that we can honestly say was averaging 10 points before LeBron and all of a sudden was averaging 15 points with him. I can't think of one guy. And the only guy that really was able to shine besides LeBron James was Kyrie Irving, because that just shows the talent level of a Kyrie Irving. Despite all that was working against him, he was still able to put up 25, 27 points a night. So,
I
but
mean, we see that with Anthony Davis too. I think that,
mhm,
even LeBron being so ball dominant, there's still only but so many points that he'll be able to score in a game. And he's got to be able to make room for at least one other person.
mhm,
So even in the Olympics, we saw maybe him and maybe one other person on the team shining per game,
mhm.
right? It
That's
wasn't, they didn't play well collectively as a team. And so Kevin Love, what happened to him?
went from what 25 and 12, 13 rebounds a game to 19 and 6. Like,
He was fantastic when he was playing for Minnesota, right?
mhm,
And then, I mean, he just looked very role player-ish when he was on the Cavs.
mhm. I believe you said that on Man Down, or if you didn't say that on your on Sports T, but like LeBron James, it's only enough room for one other player to shine, maybe, and then I
Yeah,
mean I know you
maybe.
reiterated, but
Maybe. And that's, as long as that person understands that they're the number two, as long as
hmm
the world understands that they are the number two player.
hmm
And I think
yeah,
for LeBron and Anthony Davis, LeBron pretending that he's going to pass the torch to Anthony Davis was laughable, right? But it was a narrative that was put out there so that LeBron couldn't get the blame, so that he could have another scapegoat every time something went wrong.
yep.
He was getting older in age, right? So, oh, I'm going to pass the torch to so and so, but I'm still going to, run the ball like, I'm going to dribble, drive and kick, expect you to be a spot up 3-point shooter. I mean, that's not Anthony Davis's game.
I agree. I agree,
So,
and that's when I never thought about Anthony Davis, because one thing about Anthony Davis, he's and I love what you say about serial losers, and I
yeah,
think Anthony Davis and even Kevin Durant too. We'll talk about him a little later, but they're just serial beta males. They don't
yeah.
mind
They don't
give.
mind. They don't mind taking the back seat. They're worried about their paycheck. They're worried about, they
Mhm,
like playing.
right.
They just love the game. And so I
Mhm,
think that their love for the game kind of puts the ego in the back seat, right?
mhm,
And I don't think there's anything wrong with being a beta if that's who you genuinely are. Be who
yeah,
you are, and like that's totally okay.
I respect. Yeah, true. My narrative, Miss Don. Now there's been a lot of debating, and I had to think about this one because I like to bomb on the Bron kids as often as I can. But the number one narrative I personally can't stand is the LeBron James being the second greatest player of all time. We kind of chopped it up. There's no way, there's no lie you can sell the masses to get them to convince them that this guy is better than Michael Jordan. I mean, Jordan has the resume, the championships, the numbers, the marketing, the flair. So it was LeBron James would have had to have been all that plus more to surpass Michael Jordan, because even Kobe, he was all of that, but still he was unable to pass Jordan. And the reason I say that is because LeBron James has never, and I've said this once or twice before, I think this is my unique take. I've never really heard anyone say this, but LeBron James has never won anything without a franchise player, which is why I named this stream LeBron James is the greatest role player of all time. Because if you give him an alpha, a legitimate number one, say on the talent level, maybe not mentality, but you give him a number one option, Kyrie, Dwayne Wade, Anthony Davis, somebody that was drafted to save a franchise, then that person is talented enough to play along with a LeBron James. They're that generational as far as I can adjust my game to be a number one, number two, sometimes even a number three. Depends on what it calls for. And then outside of that, I just feel like LeBron James, went with the Robert Ory blueprint. Let me jump to the next, building. In LeBron's case, he's built the dynasty. Robert Ory is more like, all right, I'm going to the Lakers because Kobe and Shaq cooking, but LeBron James kind of built his teams. But in the same respect, it's like you always find yourself on a super team, and that's how you get in your rings. Now, Robert Ory was a little bit better at it because he was able to go 7-0. LeBron James, I guess, to his credit, he was able to make it to 10 NBA Finals. But could you speak to that a little bit, Ms. Dom? What do you think about that?
So, as much as I can't stand LeBron James's like game on the court, I won't like call him a glorified role player. I won't do that just because he came into the league 18 years old as the chosen one. We saw what he was able to accomplish for himself in high school, and going straight into the NBA. I think that he was the number one option on his team coming in those first, 7 seasons that he played with the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
So all those 7 seasons, he was the number one option. There was no one else on his team that, could really lift him. And to your point, that's probably why he didn't win a title there, but he did go to the finals. And I think that that's a big accomplishment. No, I'm not going to give him a participation trophy for making it there.
Okay.
I'm not going to congratulate losing in the finals or, say, hey, all he had to do was make it to the finals. But I think that being able to drag his team there as a number one option is something to give him credit for. And I think that he's a number one option. I think even still at 39 years old, approaching 40 years old, he's the number one option on the Lakers. Is that a number one winning option? No, but he's a number one option. I don't think that I wouldn't call him a glorified role player.
I respect that. And I finally found something that we disagree on.
But I'm okay with you saying that. I think that LeBron and, Bron's kids, they put themselves in this place to be spoken of that way. And when you take a look at every single title that he's won, he's never been the reason that they won. I think in 2016, he was part of it.
Yeah.
He had some game-changing moments in that series for sure. Like, we're going to give him credit for 2016. I always do. I think that that's his best title win. That was his hardest title win. And I think that he deserves a lot of credit for that. But Kyrie Irving is the one that hit that shot. If the ball was in LeBron's hands, they lose.
Easy. Small caveat for 2016. Not known, but the reason why this is Steph Curry's first Olympic run, well, just the past summer, it was his first. He was injured. And now Steph Curry had that Kobe, Michael Jordan warrior mentality where he ain't going to come out in the press conference with a hand wrap, and make an excuse for it. But I think a lot of people forget that their best player was injured and he wasn't able to participate. I believe that was a FIBA year, and he had tried out for it. He had some Olympic tape, where he was practicing with everybody, but was unable to make the cut because of his injuries. Draymond Green acting the damn fool. Now this is when I think Draymond cost the Warriors 2 championships, 2016 being one. Because quiet as kept, he was the best player for the Warriors in that series. He was playing the defense, that Iggy, level defense. Also, I think he was averaging 20, 21 points a game. Only time we ever seen Draymond actually contribute on a championship level. And then Andrew Bogut. It's nothing for LeBron James to run and run over the Golden State Warriors, who are all, I think Draymond Green is the biggest player they got right now, and at that point, you ain't got Bogut, a 7-foot rim protector. Then LeBron James is going to be Thanksgiving for him, getting to the rim as much as he wants. But just a caveat for that, Ms. Dom, because I think that 2016 is a little overblown, because this is another reason why I say he's a role player. Without Kyrie, he at the crib. It's another finals loss. With
But
Kyrie,
does that make him a role player though, or does it make him a second option? Because usually we go role player after the third option. There's 1, 2, 3, and then there's role. Right? So is he really a role player, or is he just never responsible for the win? He's never responsible for the win and never responsible for the loss.
I think
to me, he's not the guy. I think it's okay to say LeBron James is not the guy. He's not a winner.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the matter is he's a number one option. I mean, what's really different between him and Jason Tatum? Besides the fact that Jason Tatum can shoot the ball.
I think that only difference in that aspect is that sometimes on some nights, Jason Tatum is your guy. You know, he is the alpha because you got Jaylen Brown may having a bad night. Not that
I just don't
Jaylen
think
Brown
Jason Tatum's clutch. I don't think that he's a clutch player. I don't think he's a fourth quarter guy. You know what I'm saying? He's got to, for him to show up in fourth quarters, he's front running. That's what I typically see of Jason Tatum. That's what I saw of him in the finals. He played poorly when it mattered. He didn't make shots, and then, you know, it was a blowout in that game 5, and he was front running. He was trying to take over the game to be finals MVP after Brown did a heavy lifting for him throughout the series, throughout the playoffs, you know. So all I'm saying is that I think that LeBron he's definitely a number one option. He's just not, it's just like Steph Curry. Oftentimes he came up small in fourth quarters. He's only recently way later in his career after almost all of his finals runs, has he started coming up big in the fourth quarter. But if him and the Warriors didn't blow you out by the third quarter, they're a third quarter team. They're not a fourth quarter team. And Steph Curry was never known for hitting big shots in the fourth quarter until the Olympics, until I think the 2022 finals. You know, when you take a look at 2016, Draymond Green for sure lost that series for them. He lost the series for them. I would have traded him directly after that series. But for Draymond Green, somebody who he's just not that good, for him to be the difference maker in your series and Steph Curry not to be. And again, like, I hear you, he was injured. He's not going to come out about it. They're going to say it after. That's an excuse. If you're on the floor playing as a basketball player, then you need to be ready and accountable. You're accountable for the win and accountable for the loss. If he was injured playing, right, he would still get all the credit. So you got to get credit for the loss too.
I respect that. I enjoy it.
We can't make excuses because we can't make them for LeBron, so we can't make them for Steph.
Yeah, and I'm fair in that way. You know, unlike the LeBron kids, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Oh no, well, Steph Curry, if he had, you know what I mean," immediately changing the subject. I do agree, but I would like to just ask you this question, Ms. Dom, because as far as philosophically for me goes, I think there's not really a such thing as second option. Now it's the second best player, but on any given night.
Like, so you don't go first, second, and third. That's not your.
I think it's the guy, and then it's the team. Now here's the kicker: without a Scottie Pippen, you don't have a Michael Jordan. Respectfully, so I'm not gonna say. That's why I say second best player. When we say second option, in the first three-peat, it was Horace Grant. You know, a lot of times stepping up for the Bulls. We don't really talk about this, but Scottie Pippen he was more just a defensive presence, but it was a lot of Horace Grant, John Paxson, Bill Cartwright. You know, it was like a by committee, but it was accepted that since Scottie Pippen was the second best defender, then he kind of got elevated to where he was. In the same sense, for LeBron, it's like, okay, we've been saying all your career you're the guy, right? But every time when it comes down, when all the money is on the line, it's like, you know, was LeBron the guy or was he? It's always up for debate. So for philosophically, I think it's more of
the only thing I want to say though about what you mentioned about the Bulls, I think that it's irrelevant just because back then when Michael Jordan was playing, there was one option. There was a first option and that's it. And everybody else on your team was a role player. Right. There was no first and second best because teams didn't have that back then.
Right.
Talent, it was a much more competitive league. So you had your first option and then everyone else. And you had your start. You only had that. Remember, we used to call people franchise players.
Right.
You didn't have two franchise players on a team.
Exactly. And I think that I was going to say that as far as I think this is more of the era I was raised in, you know, because at once upon a time there was no such thing as a franchise player. You just had a team, you know. So I think it's more so I'm a kind of a prisoner to my era. But when I'm looking at LeBron, when I'm looking at Kobe, when I'm looking at Steph, I'm looking at guys that are supposed to be the generational guy, and then you got the Clays, the Dre's, maybe a Hall of Famer here or there. And even at that point, you can say, is Klay Thompson truly a Hall of Famer, but I don't know. That's why I say I can be wrong, and I like to always throw that in the intro
I
outros.
don't think anybody's wrong. I just think that these are really great discussions to have. These are really great points to make.
Hmm.
I don't think that there's a right or wrong. And that's the thing. People oftentimes they get so caught up in that, right? You're
Hmm.
wrong. I'm right. I don't think that there's really a right way or a wrong way. I think we both agree that LeBron James is not the GOAT or
Yeah,
even the second best player of all time. So we're in alignment.
yeah, I love that, and just destroying narratives. That's what we do on these platforms. ESPN say you a lie, and I was telling a LeBron kid earlier. I'm like, just imagine you running up to your kid, telling them all these LeBron lies, and then they find my platform. What are you gonna do as a parent? Your kid go watch my show and be like, "Hey, Dad, you're lying." But that's what it's all about, making sure we sift through all of the lies, get the needles out of the haystack. Because if you leave it to the mainstream, they gonna just lie and lie all day, and I think that kind of leads us into the next subject because I know you had some opinions about CC Zero, one of my favorite players. I love that
Oh
nickname.
man. I love Caitlin Clark. I do.
As do I, and I think that when you critique, you know, uh, the overly emotional, mindset hears, oh, you're hating. When it's like, no, I can say that two things can be true. She can be a great talent, a good player, but right now as a rookie, still developing, getting adjusted to this new, essentially this new way of life. Because college is a totally different world from uh, professionals. I think that sometimes people just get a little too emotionally tied up into their arguments, like Shannon Sharp.
Oh
And I don't know.
my gosh. Oh my God.
I ain't never seen nothing like that. Did you see him acting a fool?
Let her cook. He was like,
I,
looked like he was about to cry.
I seen the vein. I'm like, that
He
thing
was
finna pop.
so like, I just couldn't believe it. He's more incensed about Caitlin Clark than he's ever been about LeBron James, which
I
is
agree.
just, it's unbelievable.
Yep, I
Because
agree.
who's paying him from Caitlin Clark's team? I think he's trying to get that second check from like her PR team. I don't know, but it is wild. And I just want to say like Caitlin Clark is balling. Why aren't we focused on that? Why are we focused on, the negative narratives that surround her and what other women supposedly being jealous of her? Like she's balling. Let's talk about the basketball, you
Exactly.
know? And I'm so tired of the Caitlin Clark fans, just kind of like bringing so much negativity to the sport and to the women's league. It's just really disappointing.
And I think this is something that's hindering the WNBA's growth because we're talking about. We can even go back to LeBron when he first came into the league. I think it was a consensus, especially watching Michael Jordan. We all kind of had to get over the Michael Jordan thing. Kobe was kind of in limbo at that point in his career, so it was a consensus that this is our guy. If you're an NBA fan, I think at one point we all supported LeBron. You may have not been a fan. I can speak to it. I definitely was. I thought that I'm like coming out of high school, as talented as he is, I sipped the Kool-Aid, Oh, it's my brother, man. I knew he was gonna pull up goons. What's going on, man? Good evening to you. That's a good man. Make sure you swing by his channel. But I think that now in sports, and you made a good mention of it when we was chopping it up behind the scenes, as far as it just being so much division in sports, and I think the LeBron James fan base, I don't even blame it on LeBron so much because LeBron from time to time he'll say something that makes sense. He'll concede some ground as far as Michael Jordan was the guy I looked up to, or Kobe, is his right hand man, and in that sense. But I think a lot of division comes from overly emotional fans. Goons, you got your Miss DA, you got your fan out here. I thought Goons was my guy. Yeah, that's a good man.
Hey,
Uh,
good.
but as far as um, how do you feel about that? I think we agree that the Caitlin Clark fans are bringing a lot of division to it. But as far as the Indiana Fever go and the state of the Indiana Fever, what are you seeing from this team, Ms. Dom?
What I'm seeing from them is they look like a contender. They look like they
Mm-hmm.
can beat any team in the league right now, maybe except the Lynx or, the Sun. I don't see them beating Minnesota Lynx. I don't see them beating Connecticut Sun. But
Mhm.
within a year or two, I think that Caitlin Clark will be in the finals. I think that she's been really doing a great job adjusting to the league. I think the physicality, her coming out of the title game and going straight into the league and having to, just thrust herself into, such a stressful time, I think would weigh heavily on anyone just mentally and physically.
Mhm.
And I think she's playing very well right now. She's still averaging 5+ turnovers per game. So, that it's not causing them to lose.
Mhm.
So, I'm really proud of her and just how she's been able to find her teammates on the floor. Aaliyah Boston is playing well. Kelsey Mitchell is playing well. Like, they have a great team. So what I see from them is that they have at least 4 to 5 solid scorers on their team,
Mhm.
reliable scoring.
Yep.
In their starting five has 4 reliable scorers and defenders. So
Mhm.
Caitlin Clark's defense is not the best, but she's able to, get stops. She's able to get steals. She's able to get rebounds. I I think they're lazy rebounds a lot of times, but I'm okay with that. She is offensively playing better, and I think that defensively, in order for her team to win a title, she's going to have to improve there and improve her ability to take care of the ball.
I agree. I say that the Indiana Fever, low key, are a super team, and we really put things in perspective. And I'm just kind of measuring them up. I wouldn't measure them up against the Aces. Or the New York Liberty, even the Minnesota Lynx, because I'm a
Aces are playing bad though right now. They're playing very bad. I think that the Fever have an opportunity to get them at a very weak time. They're going through that lawsuit. Mentally, they don't look there.
yeah,
And Chelsea Gray, I don't know if she needs to retire or needs to condition, but she's
yeah,
not playing well. She's not a good defensive option on the floor for them, or really off. Like, she's not hitting shots. She can't move. She can't. She looks like a cone out there on the floor.
and where the hell is Jackie Young? Jackie Young was supposed to be the new, kind of take the reins from because she's the youngest member.
I'll be honest with you. I think the women that played in the Olympics are coming back, to the second half of their schedule. And I think they're tired. I think they got beat up in Paris pretty
Yeah,
bad.
you know,
When you take a look at that last gold medal game, Asia Wilson she was beat up. It was a
yeah,
slugfest that game. And yeah, I think Jackie Young, she got beat up too.
yeah. Her
They
and
played a lot of minutes. They were on the floor. They were, it was a very, very physical game. So I think they're still recovering. And I just think mentally that team, the Aces, they're going through a lot.
yeah, and
Morally, they're not there.
and that's kind of funny you brought that lawsuit up because I love me some De'Erica Hamby. That's been one of my favorite players in the W for a little while. I had no idea, that they was doing her that bad. Just for one to start it, well, she already had a kid, but her second kid, they was giving her a lot of trouble from. That kind of breaks my
I
heart,
also think though that there's two sides. I stand with Hamby. I think that if she's saying that these things happen, I believe her, 1,000,000%. But I also believe Becky Hammond's side of it and her lens that they had a good relationship, that she was overly supportive. Maybe the discrimination wasn't mostly from Becky Hammond. I just think that there's layers to what happened to her. And, I hope she wins her lawsuit because WNBA doesn't treat their players properly. They haven't for years. So,
That was going to be my next point. It's the standard that the organization
right.
sets. It's like the W don't give a damn about, don't care about you,
Right.
and if
I mean,
nothing
I don't
else,
think they do. But
yeah,
something that Becky Hammond did say is that this is a business,
right, yeah,
and that
yeah,
it wasn't personal to trade her. And I do believe that her pregnancy caused her to get traded, but that's not the only reason she was traded. They just had an opportunity to get a player that could win for them now.
yeah,
And that's what
yeah.
happened.
I agree, and
You know what
even
I
with
mean?
yeah,
So,
even with her situation with the Sparks, it's working out for her. I mean, they dealing with some injuries, but her Lexi Brown, the phenomenal rookies Cam Brink and Rickea Jackson next year, they're gonna be a team to watch out for when everybody's healthy and ready to go. So I think it
Absolutely.
worked out for both sides, you know.
I just think the Aces are the wealthiest team in the league, and
Mhm,
they promised her things that she's not getting now, from
yeah,
the LA Sparks, and that's very upsetting to her, and she wants what she feels she's entitled to, and I fully support her in her lawsuit. It's just it's hard because, these are all women that work together. But
yeah,
I stand with Hamby.
I like that. What do you think about the New York Liberty? I got a hot take. I believe this is the Liberty's year. I think Stewie is probably the most under. No, I say Kelsey Mitchell is the most underrated, but Stewie is the most underrated superstar in terms when they talk about it. They just kind of say, "Yeah, Breonna Stewart." I think she's the WNBA's version of a Dirk Nowitzki with a little bit better defense, but just her bag that she has to score. I know she's got a ring or two. I believe she only got one with the Seattle Storm. But how do you think? What do you see from the New York Liberty? And also, that's your I forget that's your squad.
See him up there on my board, but
Yeah.
I think that if Brianna Stewart, if she plays anything like how she did in that final game against France, they
Hmm.
cannot win in the finals.
That's true.
She was a no-show against France. Honestly, she looked like a decoy on the floor.
Hmm.
And I think she's incredibly talented. I think she, I wasn't sure if she was going to be Olympic MVP or Asia Wilson before headed into that last game. And I mean,
Hmm.
it was clear who it was, but you know, um, I really love her game. The Liberty, I think they play great basketball. They move the ball very well. Sometimes they can be lackadaisical on defense and look a little slow. So when
Yeah.
the Fever played them in that last game that they beat them in, New York Liberty looked old. They looked slow.
Yeah.
So I think that they need to, just kind of make sure that they're setting the pace in every game and playing with pace. I think playing with pace is what's going to just propel them through the rest of the season and in the postseason. So in order if they have to face the Fever potentially, they're going to have trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if Caitlin Clark, and honestly, my favorite player. I love Caitlin Clark, but my favorite player on the Fever right now is Kelsey Mitchell. I think Kelsey Mitchell is not really getting the light that I hate to say it like that. I think Caitlin Clark is shining so bright it kind of dims out everybody else's light, even Aaliyah Boston to some respects. But
Caitlin Clark
um,
is the third option on that team.
hey,
That's my opinion on it. She gets to pad the stats because she's the point guard and the style of play. She's playing like LeBron. So
mm-hmm,
because of that, right? She's ball dominant. She's passing the ball to her teammates when she can't shoot, right? When they're doubling her, when the defense is there's too much pressure on her defensively, she's got to pass it. But
mm-hmm.
that's what's happening.
Kelsey,
The double, she's drawing a double team and she's finding the open teammate.
yeah,
And that's what she's supposed to do. So I'm not mad at her for doing that, but I just don't think that under pressure defense, she's going to be the player that's going to be able to score. I think it's Aaliyah Boston first. I think it's Kelsey Mitchell second, and then I think it's Caitlin Clark. When the
agreed,
defense is ran through Aaliyah Boston, they're unstoppable. I'm sorry,
agreed.
not the defense. When the offense is ran through Aaliyah Boston, they're just unstoppable.
I agree. And I love Aaliyah Boston when she was still with South Carolina. She was pretty much I ain't gonna go Asia Wilson, but a smaller version. She could get her
She's very
numbers.
dominant.
Hmm. But Kelsey Mitchell was talking about she may be entering free agency next season. I'm hoping as a Chicago Sky fan, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about what the
She
heck
should.
is going on over
I
there.
want her to enter free agency, and it's just because we'll see what happens to the Fever when she leaves the team, right?
Precisely.
They were
Precisely.
blaming her all season long,
Hmm.
for Caitlin Clark's turnovers. They were
Yeah.
blaming her for her because she had 6 turnovers, 8 turnovers in games.
Hmm.
That was Kelsey Mitchell's fault.
Hmm. Butterfingers, as they was calling her.
Yeah, when really the passes were just bad.
Yep. In which that's the one of those points of contention. If you say that, and Caitlin Clark fans hear you, they get all in a tissy,
And
and now
it's
you got
all
yourself.
just a result of Caitlin Clark being a rookie. It's not a reflection of, the potential that she has. It's not a reflection of, the player that she truly is and will become. But
Mhm.
she's not, she hasn't had WNBA greatness yet. Yes, she's, beat the assist record. But again, I think that the game continues to evolve and change, right? So I don't think anybody else is playing the style of basketball that Caitlin Clark is playing
Agree. Yeah, I don't see it. I
throughout
don't.
the league, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's playing like that.
Yeah, and even with Sabrina Ionescu having the green light with the Liberty, she still, is a part of the system for that.
They play team basketball. It's not
Agreed.
predicated on one player having the ball in their hands.
Mhm. As far as my sky goes, I'm on Twitter right now begging the Chicago Sky to get Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso, respectfully. Now, a lot of people don't. We all talk about Miss Reese, but I think Camila is kind of flying under the radar. She's third right now behind Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese in double doubles, and that's with I think
And she sat out, I think, 10 games.
yeah. I was just gonna say she started the season with an injury, so she's making up ground. But we don't have a point guard in the city of Chicago right now, Ms. DA. As far as what if you could cure the Chicago Sky, what would you do right now in their situation?
I would have sent them Gabby Williams. That's who they needed. That's who
Mm.
they needed. The Storm didn't need Gabby Williams.
That's true. That's very
Chicago
true.
Sky needed her. That would have been such a great pickup for them, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But that's what I would have done because they need a guard. And so what I think they need to do is trade Kennedy Carter. I know people are going to be like, oh, they have Barbie and Ken. Kennedy Carter is a loose cannon,
Yeah.
not because she hip checked Caitlin Clark, not because
Mm.
of that. Okay. That was nothing. Caitlin Clark has seen no physical ailments out of the WNBA. Asia
Yeah.
Wilson has. Several other WNBA players have faced real physicality in the league this season that Caitlin Clark has never even gotten a sniff of yet.
Yeah.
So, but Kennedy Carter is just a loose cannon. I think she's got, emotional issues that don't lend well to team basketball. I would trade her from this team just because they have the ability to quickly be a contender. I would move her somewhere like the Mystics and I would pick up Aaliyah Edwards. I would move away from Kennedy Carter.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if you heard, but her and Angel Reese are having some differences. Now, I reported on. Okay, so there's this new. Have you heard about the Unrivaled League started by Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart?
Yeah.
Super excited about that.
Me too.
It's kind of like the W's version of the Big Three. So
Me
I
too.
think they recruited about 20 or 30 players, and
Okay.
they're gonna section them off into 3v3 formats. Now, this is a beautiful thing because it'll give the players an opportunity to stay in the States. A lot of the WNBA players, they go overseas, not just to get a bag, but also keep their skills sharp, because it's a long off season for the W, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But this gives them an opportunity to play. I believe it starts in January and they'll play up until March. And then, have another 3-month layoff. But and this is really disappointing me because Kennedy Carter, this is not like Angel Reese did anything. Angel Reese got the invite, she accepted it, right? And Kennedy Carter is upset that she didn't get the invite. And also, that was initial rumors, but what really confirmed everything is that when Angel Reese was not Angel Reese, the WNBA released a list of his top 25 players or something like that right now.
Kennedy Carter didn't make it.
She was number 24.
Okay.
And to her respects, because she's averaging about 17 points a game, doing all of this, but she is playing 10 less minutes than I think on average. I think it was 8 minutes, but she's playing less minutes. She's on the list. She's the one playing the least amount of minutes, but still has, heavy contention numbers, and that's what she's kind of upset about. She felt like she was snubbed
too, but it's her behavior. It's not with Kennedy Carter. It's nothing about how she shows up on the floor. You've
Mm-hmm.
got to be professional. You've got to be somebody that people want to play with and be around,
Yeah,
right?
precisely.
It's team basketball. It's not Kennedy Carter basketball,
Precisely.
So something, her being mad, like Angel Reese was one of her biggest supporters publicly and privately. So
Mm-hmm.
for her to be mad at her about anything, I don't get that. So something deeper must be transpiring. I don't know what that is, but I did hear that they were having some potential drama, and I like to keep things basketball, but yeah, I mean, we're going to have to talk about it because Angel Reese is one of the biggest names in the game. For her to be having some sort of like discord on her team with an important player on her team, that's
Mm-hmm.
tough.
Yeah.
And Kennedy
As,
Carter, like choosing to sit out games or whatever the case may be, having, issues with her. It's not Angel Reese's fault that, she's a big name in the sport.
right. Mm-hmm.
It's
And
not
that's
that's not her fault. She's famous. She's not just a good player, but she's famous now.
yep.
She went to the Met Gala. We're not going to see Kennedy Carter at the Met Gala.
Respectfully.
That's not gonna happen.
I'm 100%.
We didn't see Asia Wilson at the Met Gala. She wasn't invited.
Hey,
Angel Reese Caitlin Clark wasn't invited to the Met Gala.
let's say it
Angel
again.
Reese was invited. There's certain things that that people are going to have opportunities to get. And Kennedy
Mm-hmm.
Carter should be worried about, she should be grateful that she's in the league. I believe she was out of the league for some time
Yeah.
due to her behavior. So why does she should just continue to play her game, you know? I agree. Import AI.
I had to read that like Tarasa
Diana
says.
Diana Taurasi was a cone out there. She was unplayable in the gold medal game. Let's pack her up. She needs to retire.
Yes, I agree.
We
Her,
need to pack her up. Caitlin Clark torched her ass this weekend.
yeah, yeah,
Torched,
easy.
torched. She looked like retired. Like, okay, you have a jump shot. I don't want to see you on the floor anymore.
Like, it's the same
You
here,
couldn't play in the Olympics. How can you play in the WNBA? It
and
doesn't
that,
make sense. Her and Chelsea Gray need to go. Chelsea
yeah,
Gray needs to go get some conditioning, maybe lose some weight, maybe work on, her body. Diana Taurasi needs to retire. This needs to be her last season. She needs to pass the torch.
yep, yeah. I think, and that's something that's holding the Phoenix Mercury back. Just as a total team, because they run through BG. BG still doing her thing, 20, 23 points a
They
game.
lost to Dallas.
Yeah, embarrassing. Erika,
Embarrassing. I have firsthand and secondhand embarrassment for those women.
and speaking of Enrique, shout out to you, Al. I agree. Enrique should not have been snubbed this one. I mean, you get rid of somebody. You got to get Enrique on that team, especially when you snubbed her 4 years ago, unrighteously so. But yeah, DT man, and after seeing her in the Olympics, I ain't gonna hold you down. Before the Olympics, I was on the team of let Caitlin Clark, sit out and let her, do her thing, and eventually she's gonna get her chance. Another 4, 8.
I don't think Clark should have been there either. I would have put Barbie on the Olympic team before her. I'm just being really honest with you. They didn't need, so first of all, like they had enough depth in guards. How many guards do you need? You have
Yeah,
Diana Taurasi, you have Chelsea Gray, you have Kelsey Plum, you have Ionescu. Like, how many guards do you need? You have Jewel Lloyd there, like so many guards.
yeah,
So, and that position is truly interchangeable. But we didn't need Caitlin Clark there either. She would have lost. We would have lost with Caitlin Clark. We
no,
would have
yeah,
lost the gold medal. We might not have even gotten a bronze.
yeah,
And
and I don't.
I'm just keeping it all the way real. Those turnovers, they didn't have room for the turnovers that they already had, plus for one player to have 5 to 8 turnovers in a game.
Right.
That wasn't going to win. The Paris game, the last game against France, every single possession counted. Every single possession. It was a one possession game the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Agreed.
never seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
So Caitlin Clark was there. She would not have been able to take the hits physically. Chelsea Gray, as poorly as we see her playing in the WNBA, we needed her big body on the floor in the Olympics to take those hits against Japan. They were beating her up 94 feet.
Yeah,
Caitlin Clark would have crumbled.
I
She would have
agree.
crumbled. She wouldn't have been able to find her teammates.
As a basketball fan, agree. And sometimes I'm like, yo, maybe the casuals was making a point as far as just having the market and the attention there. There was
She
a
could
couple
have
games I
gone to
missed.
the, but she could have gone. Angel Reese, we saw her there. Angel Reese was in
Right.
Paris.
Yeah.
Why wasn't Caitlin Clark there?
Yeah.
She
That's true.
wanted to feed those narratives. So, like, again, to me, she's sort of like LeBron in that way, where she's feeding this crazy fan base like a reason to say the things that they say,
Hmm.
you know? And I'm sure Caitlin was watching at home, and she clearly was working on herself. She was clearly training, conditioning. She looks bigger coming out of that Olympic break. Her arms look stronger, you
Hmm.
know, and we're seeing her play better. So she was able to get rest. She was able to work on her body, get stronger. And I don't think she would have played well in the Olympics at all. She scored 4 points in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
didn't hit any, she was 0 for 5 from three.
You know, they swept that right under the rug, didn't they?
Two, that chick for two from France, she pulled up from logo and was hitting threes.
A couple times. Like at
Clark
least.
would not have been able to do that. Clark does not do that in fourth quarter or like critical moments.
Yeah.
Let's just be clear. She doesn't pull up from the logo, when the game is on the line. Fatu did that. In one possession game, she pulled up from logo and hit a three.
Yeah. I think
So,
twice.
yes. But
Yeah.
this is what and people want to say that like Caitlin Clark is the best shooter we've ever seen. I don't know that to be true.
Yeah.
She
Nah.
can't do it. She can't do it in critical game moments. If she did that with me as her coach, she'd be right next to me on the fucking bench.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Come think about it, kid. Yeah. No, I wouldn't say she a better shooter than Sabrina. I'm still putting my money on Kelsey Plum, and also Erika Ogumale. Like when Erika get hot,
I
she's
don't
just
think we're ever going to be able to decide if Caitlin Clark is the best female shooter that we've ever seen. I don't think we're going to be in a position to decide that because we're not going to see her do it in fourth quarters. We're not going to see her do it in the 3-point contest at the All-Star game ever.
You don't think she can ever participate?
I predict that she's never going to do it. She didn't do it her first year out as a rookie. Part of me thought that she sat out to be a good person because there's money on the line for those contests.
Mm-hmm.
She's got, a $30 million contract with Nike. She's got several endorsements, Samsung, all these other things. And, these other women, they're not making the money that she's making. Right. So to see other people be given those opportunities, part of me thinks that, she sat out for those reasons. But part of me also thinks that she was just scared the same way that LeBron James is scared to embarrass herself at the All-Star games.
I think that's a good idea. I want to give her a little bail in the sense of she's in a unique position of going, to two NCAA tournaments, to the championship game. She did have a very long basketball college career.
Out the 3-point contest, though. Why wouldn't you use that as the opportunity to practice in the spotlight?
That's a good point too, Ms. Don. That's the thing.
You're the best shooter, and that's what your fans are saying. That like you need to live up to the hype. At some point, you need to be able to live up to the hype. And I just my biggest fear is that she's going to turn into the LeBron James of the WNBA, where everybody's making excuses for her. She had a long this. Do you know that every single incumbent, like every single first, I believe. Going back, I don't know how many years, but most first round picks in the WNBA came out of winning a title.
Mm-hmm.
I think Breanna Stewart won 3 titles straight in college.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, she did. She three-peated.
You can't tell me she wasn't the number 1 pick.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also all of these women, unlike Caitlin Clark, had to play overseas basketball.
Yeah, true.
None of them ever got a break. So people are talking to me about tired, break. She needs to get her legs. These women, they play hard. They play all year long. All year long, this is their job. There's no break for them. Nope. So what? Yeah. She didn't have a break. Nobody else did. And they still came out balling. Candace Parker, what break did she have? Tell me.
And none coming into the league when Detroit.
She came out in her first game. I think, what did she do? 34 and 13 rebounds. Her her opening game. Mm-hmm. Candace Parker didn't open with 8 turnovers. And no, she's not a point guard, but she had a fantastic rookie season. Not only was she rookie of the year, but she was also the MVP. Her rookie season, she was the most valuable player. That's so great. People need to recognize like we've seen better rookie years than Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, by far. Give me Maya Moore every day of the week over this. Which I got a hot take. What you think about this, Ms. Dom? I think Nafisa Collier is turning into Maya Moore 2.0. Respectfully, I'm a Husky fan. I love me my Huskies, but I think she's morphing into what I've been seeing from her this entire season, really, but especially since the break concluded. What you think about Nafisa?
I think Nafisa Collier is just incredible. I have so much respect for her game. I think she played like shit at points during the Olympics, which I didn't like. I thought that Cheryl Reeves was like a soccer mom putting their child out on the floor when they didn't belong or didn't deserve to be there. So I didn't quite like that. But what I love about her game is that she hits very timely shots.
Yes.
She's timely, she's strategic, she's long, she has this beautiful athletic body that I think is the perfect body for literally any sport that you could play. She could go out there and be a soccer player. Shit, she could be a football player. Like, I love her, just the length of her muscles and how built she is for this game. So I actually love Collier, and I think that I think the MVP race is between her and Asia Wilson. If Asia Wilson cannot lift her team to better standings for the playoffs, if she cannot lift her team, a little bit more, I see Nafisa Collier like winning the MVP this year. I had Asia Wilson and Collier, like, she wasn't playing that well right before the Olympics. They were losing some games. They lost some bad games. Like, they lost to the Mystics, I think. And that was pretty embarrassing. So, I think that she has the ability to turn their season around, and I look forward to seeing that. And I look forward to seeing who becomes the MVP this year. I have no issue with her winning or Asia Wilson. I would love to see it.
Maya Moore 2.0. I know I'm capping. I gotta have my hot take.
She's got to win. Maya Moore has 4 rings. She never repeated, but she has 4 rings, right?
Yeah.
So I need to see Nafisa Collier. I need to see her win. That's just what I really need to see. Clark's turnovers and protesting refs are LeBron behaviors. At least she wasn't saying she's the chosen one, can definitely take smarter shots, passes. I mean, yeah, it's all facts, That's why I think, she's slowly turning into LeBron James of WNBA, right? And no, she's not calling herself the chosen one, and she didn't get that tatted, but like, her fan base is so similar to delusional Bron fans. Her fan base was calling her the GOAT before she ever won anything. That's why I call her CC0. And I don't call her CC0 to be disrespectful to her. It's really, about that fan base, because how can you call someone the GOAT and they have never won?
Yeah.
She never won. She went to the title game twice and she didn't win. And why not? If you were able to beat South Carolina, and then why not LSU? You were able to beat South Carolina when they were undefeated team the prior year, but why not the second year? Because the refs were helping her in college. Like, I need people to see that South Carolina was playing uphill against Iowa the entire game. It had to be a blowout until it was when Dawn Staley made the adjustment to put Johnson on Clark. And she put on that defensive masterclass, completely put the clamps on her. That's what changed the game, because Iowa was up at the half. We all remember this, right? So they had to come back and they had to completely blow them out. You have to beat Caitlin Clark teams by 10 plus points just to be able to win the game. Because if you don't, the refs are going to decide it.
Yep.
Just like a LeBron James game, just like a Steph Curry game. If you're not blowing them out, the refs will decide.
You're gonna stop talking bad about my chef, Miss Dom. I mean, why you?
Look, let's talk about it. In 2015, let's talk about 2015. If Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were healthy, Warriors don't win that series. It went 7. It went 7, and Kyrie and Kevin Love were injured. They were not
6.
Oh, okay. Well, it went 6. It went 6, but I don't believe that they win that series if those 2 players, the number 2 and number 3 option, were healthy and on the floor. They weren't. So
But
I
that's
think that they lose that series. 2016 rolls around. We want to say that Steph Curry was injured. I can't say that. I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna say that Draymond Green lost the series for them. Draymond Green was not a real he's not a star player.
mm,
It's fake news.
yeah, thanks.
You
He
came
hanging out.
back. You sat out game 5. You were suspended for that game. What happened in game 6 and game 7? You lost. You had 2 more chances.
Cooked. Let me, because I purposely didn't hit the line back when you gave me your reasons, Miss.
They
Nah,
but look. One moment though.
okay.
Steph crumbled under pressure defense.
Mm-hmm.
They allowed, so what happened in 2016 is they allowed the Cavs to play physical defense on the Warriors and
Mm-hmm.
they crumbled.
Yeah. Because that was
That
more of
is
a
what
finesse.
happened.
2015 Steph to me is 84 Jordan. Okay, well, let's go 86. Before Jordan beef, well, when did he beef up? Like 90, so 89. Before he beefed up to take on the brutality of the Detroit Pistons. Now, I'm not saying he Jordan. I ain't capping. I'm just saying the story arc, because people forget that was only his 6th year in the league. 50, he came in 09. So 2015, that's his 6th season. He's still in that young, before he hit his prime body. I think he's 25. I'm not making excuses. I'm saying in the sense of 2015, they won because of IQ basketball. And another reason why I really acknowledge Steph is because, do you realize what kind of propaganda we would be receiving now, have to hear, if the Warriors didn't put a stop to the LeBron James machine? Because he went from Miami to Cleveland, created 2 super teams, and if he would have won 2-3 rings in Cleveland, we would never hear the end of it now. So I really elevate Steph in that sense, because it's not just a hate for LeBron. It's the fact of the matter that nobody seen the Warriors coming. Nobody put their money on the Warriors in 2014, 2015 at the beginning of the season. And that was also the season that they started threatening the 71, 72 Lakers, 33 wins. I think they got to like 27 or something like that. But the Warriors was not on anybody's list as far as a championship team. And not only did they get the job done, they got the job done against the guy that was coming home, right? And was supposed to be, this solidifying his GOAT and confirming all the propaganda. And 2016 just kind of confirmed that, for me, LeBron ain't the guy. You need another dude to be putting up 25, 27, 29 points a game in respects to D Wade and Anthony Davis. If LeBron doesn't have that, we got what, 0-10, maybe 1-9 in the finals. I think Kyrie, that 2016 ring is more so his ring. I think he's the best player in the Cavaliers. But before we go into the Kevin Durant arc, do you not give Steph and the Warriors any credit for nullifying all of the clutch sports propaganda we would have had to hear? Because now they bad and LeBron ain't won nothing. Well, he didn't win
So
those years.
I give Steph Curry so much credit. I think that he's the most influential player and probably the best player of our generation.
Yeah.
So I would say that it's him. And then I would say Kevin Durant. And then, maybe LeBron is there like somewhere. But Steph Curry is extremely generational. He was the most influential player. He made it possible for regular guys to go ahead and become something in basketball.
Yeah.
He completely changed the way that basketball is played. It became all about the 3-point shot because of Steph Curry. The everyday man believes that he can be a basketball star.
Yeah. You want to take
Okay.
that comment? You want to take that comment, Miss? No, I'm sorry.
2022, Curry has something LeBron doesn't, a ring without a top 15 teammate at that time. 2024 were all drafted another notch overlay GM. I don't disagree. I give Curry so much credit for being able to beat LeBron James 3 times. He is the better player, hands down. He plays better basketball. His brand of basketball is better. He's a better teammate. I think that he made it really easy for Kevin Durant to come into a system like the Warriors and completely cook and be the very best player that he could be. I think he was the best teammate for Kevin Durant, and we have not seen Kevin Durant play to his potential and do the great things that we know he can do since he's been with the Warriors. So Steph Curry gets a lot of credit for me. I think that he's the best player of today's game. I don't have bad things to say about him, except for the fact that he has proven himself to be not clutch in fourth quarters. He's proven himself to be someone that really, might not be able to handle pressure defense. And that's not his fault. That's just the way that the game is now. There really hasn't been pressure defense, right? So we only see that in the playoffs. And that's when we see him sometimes come up short, come up small, and look at times pedestrian.
Yeah. Am I gonna go Curry sexual right now?
Do it. I mean, I think that he's amazing. I think he's an amazing player. I think that he has done so much for basketball in this game. I can't brag about him enough. He was able to stop LeBron James dead in his tracks. If not for Curry and the Warriors, LeBron he would have how many rings? He would have 7 rings, 8 rings.
LeBron?
If it wasn't for the Warriors.
I think if it wasn't the Warriors, it would have been the Rockets. Somebody was going to, it would have been James Harden. Somebody was going to stop all that LeBron James crap. Shout out to my brother, Paulie Corleone, Uncle Paulie Entertainment, the music man of the crew. LeBron was playing better head to head versus Curry before KD, I thought personally. LeBron James was stat padding, Paulie. And when you 20, well, how old was he? 28. He was still in his prime. We wouldn't have called
it small forward. I'm tired of people actually comparing LeBron James to Steph Curry
or Michael Jordan. It's not fair. It's like with 2 different positions, 2 different roles.
LeBron James he was the guy on the Cavs that the ball was going to be in his hands. The difference between LeBron and Curry is that Curry is not a ball dominant player. So the ball gets to move through everybody's hands and he plays off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He plays completely off the ball so that he can, get a shot.
Yeah.
Contested or uncontested. He was shooting the lights out contested. Mm-hmm. We see that all the time. We don't see LeBron shooting and making contested threes all day.
Right.
That's Steph Curry's job.
Would you agree with me on this sense, Ms. Dama? Steph Curry, because I used to say Michael Jordan, but I think this is the one up that he got on Michael Jordan. Steph is the best off-ball player that we probably ever seen. As far as some dude, and he don't get tired. I don't ever see this dude get tired since I've been watching him in college. I've never seen him gas. Now I would concede to you as far as when that defense is turned up on him, just the pure fact that he's 6'2", 6'3" in gym shoes. He's a little disadvantaged in that same way, being a smaller guard, much like I would say Isaiah Thomas was, but still when they was in their bags, they was able to nullify size. Whatever you had on them, they was able to nullify it. But I don't know. For me, with Chef, it's just he made the most difficult shot easy. Now it's so much so, like you said, to your credit, everybody thinks they can do it. I want to say a little caveat. Chef got that from me. I had to run many laps because I used to take those same threes, and Coach Bentley was like, "Nah, gang, get out of the game." But I would make them. That was just my shot because I was an undersized guard. So I think I really identified with him. But as far as off-ball ability, can you think of another player? Maybe I'm thinking Rip Hamilton, maybe Ray Allen. But can you think of anybody as efficient and as prolific off the ball?
I would never. So I'm only in the business of comparing Steph Curry to today's game. I would never compare him to players that actually played through real defense, players that, played in much stricter offensive systems like the triangle. And I get it. Warriors play a mix of triangle and motion. Like I understand that. But I can't say that he's the best off the ball player that I've ever seen now.
All right,
I can't go there. I gave you he's the best player of this generation, the most influential. I give you that, but I'm not going to say that he has anything above Michael Jordan.
Okay, I respect
or
that.
Kobe Bryant or other players that I've seen play off the ball.
3-point shooting? You telling me Kobe and Mike was better? Hold on, me. My
I
Paulie
think
said,
that they hit more shots when they needed to hit them than Steph Curry does.
I respect that. I
So
respect that.
again, I think Steph Curry's got to blow teams out by the third quarter, and if he doesn't, their team is in serious trouble. So when in the fourth quarter, when it's close, I don't trust the Warriors to win those games.
We'll come right back to that comment, Paulie. Let me see. Al said, you said it, Tony, off ball Steph. Can't take contact and fade like Jordan. All right, Al. I
I
thought you was
mean,
on my
it's
team.
true.
Thought you
It's
was on my
true. I've seen Michael Jordan hit double pump threes.
Yeah,
I don't
no
see.
facts.
I don't see Steph Curry hit 3-pointers like that.
Yeah, and
Where you're
I'll
pumping, where you're double pumping in the air and shooting a three. I don't see Steph Curry doing that. He's just not. I don't give him anything above Michael Jordan.
I guess I'm sympathizing with the bronsexuals right now. I'm just having a bit of a reality check.
We've seen Michael Jordan hit threes with 0.6 on the clock.
Not facts.
Nothing. He's a
Nice.
winner. Steph is not the kind of winner that Michael Jordan is. Steph doesn't have the shot making ability that Michael Jordan has.
I'll say him and Steph, and then maybe because he got more of that baby face assassin reputation. I think Michael Jordan and Steph Curry share that cerebralness, and I think
I don't think they share anything. I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't think they share anything. I will never compare Steph to Michael Jordan. Okay. Never. He lost a series in 2016 that he should have never lost. He did not need Draymond Green to win that series. The fact that he needs him to lead the team, to be the emotional support of the team, to be the locker room captain, he's not even the leader of the Warriors. Yeah. But I'm sitting here calling him the best player of this generation, and he's not even the leader on his team. It's Draymond Green. They have to keep him somebody who's dead weight just so that Curry can mentally get through the season. Yeah. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's not cerebral. That's not mental toughness. I don't want to hear that.
I respect
not
that.
In comparison to Michael Jordan.
I guess that's one of those truths I've always ignored because
Draymond should have been traded going back to 2016. You know it. He should have left the Warriors that year when he caused them to lose. Think about how many nights he just decides to get himself ejected because Steph has the night off or LeBron has the night off and he wants to go and party with LeBron. Facts. You don't need that on your team. He's dead weight. His production, what is he averaging? Like 2 points a game?
6.
Not producing, and he's a starter. These are the things that it's like shackling the Warriors right now, and you want to keep him. And you wanted you were okay with your locker room being divided. Andrew Wiggins, why do you think he wasn't playing? You think it really was his personal issues?
I don't know what was going on.
He doesn't like Draymond Green. The locker room was divided. So it was like the new players, the Andrew Wiggins, the Wisemans, the Kumingas, the Jordan Pooles. I think they were cool. And then it was the veterans on that team. Yeah. That, the locker room was divided. They wouldn't give their teammates the respect that they deserved. And look at where they're at now.
Can you see Chef going to the Lakers? Paulie says.
No.
This was reported that he did take, and I don't know why people be going crazy about this. When Rachel Nichols was LeBron unfollowed Rachel Nichols, they made a story out of that. But when LeBron unfollowed Kendrick Perkins, and that was like in the news, like I don't understand this whole new just because you unfollow somebody that took something out your bio. I've seen this happen so many times before, and nothing follows up from it. But you say no to Steph potentially joining the Lakers?
If Steph Curry goes to the Lakers, he's out of my top 10, and everything that I just said is out the window.
I gotta agree.
So I don't see him going to the Lakers because it will just ruin his legacy.
Yeah.
And he's going to play like complete dog shit.
Yeah. With Bronny James, tutoring Bronny James.
It's going to be a joke. So let him go to the Lakers and play for LeBron. It's going to be a joke.
Yeah, I would.
And nobody's going to respect those titles. Not one person.
I would be very upset with my boy.
And they won't win. they won't win a title.
Dre twice last year was like, "Oh, Curry's out. Let me get the flagrant choke slam."
It's a fact. It's a fact. It's a fact. He's like, oh, Curry's not playing tonight. I need, I want to have a star night off too. Like he thinks that he's a star.
Facts. Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously.
LeBron took him on that date over whatever they was at on that first little photo of them hanging out. He ain't been the same since. He said he would clutch, respect his name. But just for the sake of time and some other topics, I want you to cook on, Ms. Dom. And thank you, gentlemen, for interjecting, because this is what I love about doing what we do. We have a certain itinerary going on, and all of a sudden we get to cooking on other topics. I love this game. But Dennis Schroeder, 100% agree, comes out and says that Kevin Durant is weak, because Dennis Schroeder gave his honest assessment on the difference between NBA and Olympic basketball. I don't think he said anything wrong. Did you catch the clip or that particular?
I did. So okay. I saw what Dennis Schroeder said. I don't think he said anything wrong at all. I do think he's wrong for calling Kevin Durant weak.
Okay. Why? May you elaborate on that, Ms. Nunn?
The reason why is because I don't think Kevin Durant did anything wrong. He responded, they won the gold medal, and he said entertainment and IQ. He didn't say, F Dennis Schroeder. He didn't say anything about him personally. It's okay that he said that they can entertain and have the basketball IQ needed to win. And it's fine if Dennis Schroeder wanted to say, okay, entertainment only. Entertainment and slash out the IQ. Like, I'm fine. Like, I don't think that, I think you said something, Kevin Durant replied, and now he's weak. Now you need to attack him personally. He made it about Kevin Durant attacking him personally, and I didn't see any of that. If Kevin Durant came out and had like a direct reply to him, that's not what happened. So I don't have an issue with what Kevin Durant did. I don't think he's picking on Dennis Schroeder. I don't think anybody cared about Dennis Schroeder until he came out with the Kevin Durant is weak. I don't even think people connected what he said to what Dennis Schroeder said. I'm just being really honest with you. It wasn't until Dennis Schroeder came out saying that now he's going to get more followers. And really, what do you look like fighting or having a verbal altercation with Kevin Durant?
Right.
In the public for what?
He acknowledged that. He was like, I'm not on Kevin Durant level and all that stuff. And I guess, he pulling a little Gilbert Arenas on us, doing the
That's why he felt personally attacked, because he's just like, okay, Kevin Durant saw what I said and he replied like this. Why do you need to attack little old me? And I get that. Kevin Durant does that often. He's very sensitive, and I can't stand it. To me, that is one of his just weakest qualities, the sensitivity that he has to what other people say. Who cares? Why do you care? You're worth $500 million. Like, you're one of the greatest players that we've ever seen play this game. Like, you're responding to every little thing. Move on. I just think it's very catty and like feminine. I don't like the back and forth between the NBA players. Call that person up and talk to them.
Yeah.
I
think it's more so
right. By the way, Dennis Schroeder was 1,000,000% right with his comment. What he said, saying that, FIBA is it's about basketball IQ and straight coaching. That is what it's about. It's not about drama. It's not about first, second, or third option. It's about who is going to score the ball in this offense that we have. How are we going to defend, and how are we going to win as a team? It's about winning as a team. That's what FIBA is about. NBA is not about that. It's about narrative. It's about politics. It's about star players. It's about egos. It's about positioning. That's what it's about. Legacy. FIBA, there's none of that.
I agree. And it's about that money. Everybody going for the bag. What Al said, Schroeder is right on the IQ or Euroball. Wemby came in at 19, more skilled than. You got to go watch Miss Dom's video on Wemby, bro. I'm gonna say this, Al. I had a certain line of thinking about Wemby until I seen Ms. Dom's video on Wemby. So before we even speak to that, Ms. Dom, I want to get one more take from you, because I know I don't want to hold you up all night. I want to say this as far as Kevin Durant. I think that it wasn't so much that incident. I think it's just been a history with Kevin Durant. He has a reputation now of being very thin skinned. And and it goes
Right.
back to OKC. When Russell Westbrook would take the game winners, you see Kevin Durant on the sideline moping. And I never thought I'd say this. I said it when I reported on it, but Skip Bayless was the one that made me realize KD is a little, a little bit more eccentric. I don't want to say sensitive, but just a little bit more. He think he's this when you're that, and it kind of conflicts with what he thinks of himself. But
He's a follower. That's what he is. Kevin
precisely.
Durant is a follower. He is a beta. He's not an alpha.
Mhm.
And because of that, it causes a lot of issues for him, And I almost feel bad for him in a way because he's one of the greatest players that we've ever seen. He's better than LeBron James. He's better than Steph Curry. He's better than so many players. But, the way his career has shaped out, he hasn't made the best decisions. He followed a flat earth idiot to the Brooklyn Nets. He followed behind Russell Westbrook in OKC, dressing like him. Wherever he goes, he finds a person to attach himself to, that. Now he morphed back into getting haircuts when he started hanging around Devin Booker. It's just you are a follower, even though you are the number one option on your team. You're not an alpha. You are a beta. It's okay to be a beta, but when you want to get angry about it, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up, right? So I just think what he actually said is wrong, because for me, the basketball that they played during the Olympics was not entertaining.
Yeah.
To me, you want to have a mix of athleticism and skill. And that's to me what European players lack. They lack the athleticism. The most athletic foreign player is Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
He's athletic. Jokic, Luka, they cannot run, jump, or dunk the ball. And somehow they're being touted as the best players in the NBA, top 5.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a testament to where we're at in the league, that guys who can't run, jump, or dunk the actual ball can be considered the best players in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
and on the last topic, Miss Dom, I was very excited to get your take on this. In fact, if I could request, because we have two more, the no allow situation. I don't know if you caught it. I would love for you to make a video on that. I would love you to. No, I want you to make a video on that on your platform.
I'm going to. I produced the show already. I just have to actually do it. So It's locked and loaded and ready to go. I've been traveling. I've been working a lot. So I'm just a little backed up.
I'm be the first view on that Flat Earth Idiot Facts. Dom be cooking, man. She's so graceful though. so graceful. But the last topic on the docket, and it's kind of speaking to what you were saying, Anthony Edwards. All right, the man hung with LeBron before Anthony Edwards went to the Olympics. He used to make some sense. He used to actually have things assessed. I know he's still a younger guy, 22, 23, but he hung with LeBron and KD for 2.5 weeks and had the nerve to jump on somebody's microphone and say Michael Jordan was the only skilled player in his era. Caveat: the most players on the top 75 list come from the Michael Jordan era, including the Magic Johnsons to the John Stocktons to the, all the way up until, I guess you would say, Michael Jordan's era would end with the John Stockton, Karl Malone. The most, and from 84 to 98, the most top players from on the top 75 list come from the Jordan era. What is your opinions on Anthony Edwards? I believe young bro is wilding, and I love me some Ant-Man, but I've been calling him Can't-Man. He done pissed me off. What you say?
Honestly, I was disappointed in what he had to say, but I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. I think that he's put in a tough position, literally sitting next to Kevin Durant and, having to answer a question like that. I think it's tough. But what I hated about his answer the most was that he said, hey, I didn't see it. I didn't watch.
Right. Yeah.
I wasn't part of that time. I never saw it. I never watched it. Michael Jordan was, the only skilled player. That doesn't make sense, right? So I think that he had some word salad. I think that he had some word vomit, diarrhea of the mouth, where he didn't really know what to say and was saying anything. And I feel bad because it also revealed to me an insecurity about the brand of basketball that players today are playing. They don't feel secure in the game that is being, produced and put out to the world to see. They feel totally insecure about that they need to put down players of the past, their skills, their athleticism. I'm here to say that Anthony Edwards is wrong about that. World Be Free. Does anybody remember that guy? He went
Meta.
off this. No, World Be Free. He was a
Wait.
player in the 80s. He was a player from the 80s, very skilled, double pump shots, you know, just all kinds of post moves, perimeter move. Like he would cook. He cooked the Celtics. He was cooking the Celtics in the 80s. Very
Mm-hmm.
difficult because that's considered one of the best teams ever.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can't agree. And I'll send you the footage of World Be Free because he was a great player. He was a
Yeah.
skilled player that doesn't get his flowers. That doesn't get, there's so many guys that like they're, because it was all about winning back then.
Right.
So your skill didn't matter if you didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hey, that's
like
a
I
good point.
said, the game evolves, like what becomes important, right? So like Michael Jordan, that era was all about winning. The Celtics, the Lakers, going back to 70s, 80s, it was all about, were you a winner?
Right.
You were
Mm-hmm.
nothing if you didn't win.
Facts. Even
Now,
if it works. Go ahead.
today you are celebrated for losing. Today we have to celebrate you. We have to give you participation trophies. We have to recognize you even though you're a loser.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a serial loser, but if you pad the stats, if you had some franchise record for your team, we have to celebrate you.
Yep.
So, that's the difference. And I just think that Anthony Edwards is 1,000,000% wrong, but I don't blame him because he's hearing things from his big homies,
Right.
from the
Mm-hmm.
Draymond Greens, from the LeBron Jameses, from the, Kevin Durant's. And I think that Kevin Durant actually has a lot of respect for those players that came before him. I wish Anthony Edwards he's a much better public speaker than that answer that he gave.
Yeah. Hey, like I
He's brought accountability back to first option players on teams. He's, seemingly a really great teammate. And I was shocked to hear him say that just because one would think that somebody like him would have huge respect for players that came before him that made it possible for him to have big endorsements. Without Michael Jordan, there's no lifetime Nike contract for LeBron James.
say it again. Facts.
Without these people, there's no, they paved the way for guys today to make the kind of money and the contracts that they're getting from teams. They worked hard. They slaved away so that these players could still be paycheck slaves, but with golden handcuffs, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
not wearing paper shoes to have
Yeah.
to run up and down the court with. So
Right.
it made me sad that he said that just because I think that he's somebody that has much more respect for those that came before him. And I just don't think that he was able to show that, exhibit that, express that in that moment. He clearly did not know how to answer that question.
Yeah.
So I don't know if his PR team didn't prepare him for that or what, but it was bad. And I think that he fumbled that bag in that moment and potentially made a lot of enemies for no reason.
Yeah. One, and you said that so beautifully, Miss Diamond. I don't think that was a perfect take to end it all on. But I gotta say, I got 3 older brothers, and they influenced me. Before I ever knew what I was watching, it was Kobe, Kobe, Kobe. This Jordan, Jordan, Jordan. That. So, I was heavily influenced by my older brothers. I can only imagine if they was billionaires. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you want to go Rolly? Also, we the most skilled players ever. Make sure you run with that, but. That's beautifully said because I was bombing on Ant-Man. I'm calling him Cant-Man all on Twitter. I'm gonna redact a few of my statements.
Look,
But,
even his play in the Olympics, we saw what he did last year in FIBA.
yeah,
How
that was.
guys played, it was a direct result of the lack of movement of the ball
Mm-hmm,
from LeBron James.
mm-hmm,
That's just the bottom line.
yep,
He
that
didn't
was.
play poorly because he sucks. He didn't play poorly because he can't play an Olympic play. We saw him and Jason Tatum. We've seen all these guys that look like a shell of themselves in the Olympics play fantastic in the
Yeah,
same league, in the same FIBA league. So I don't want to bomb on him yet. I want to see what happens with him this season. Can he become that face of the league this year? Is it going to be John Morant? What is it going to look like when they face the Grizzlies? Right?
mm-hmm,
Like what does their little series throughout the season look like?
mm-hmm.
So that's what I want to see.
November 12th. I got that date marked on my calendar. That's when we get the Grizz and the Timberwolves match up. So, Miss Dom, thank you for pulling up to the platform. We're gonna do this at 7 in the morning next time, y'all. Give y'all a 13-hour stream because Miss Dom be cooking. I'm gonna continue bombing, and we're just gonna bring the two worlds together. But could you please let the audience know where they can find you?
I'm at Sports Tea. Come find me. Come find the channel. Sports Tea. I've got about 10 episodes loaded. I'm going to be dropping some more content this week. Would love to engage with you guys in the comments. Like my videos, subscribe to the channel, and you can also catch me on Man Down Sports every Friday at 4:30 p.m. West Coast time and 7:30 p.m. East Coast time.
Yes, man. Shout out to the brothers at Man Down. I gotta send some clips to Eric as soon as we're done here.
Oh my gosh, let Eric live. He's such a wonderful LeBron James fan, and
Yeah.
he deserves to be a fan in peace.
He's
But
reasonable. He's a
yeah,
lot more reasonable than what I'm accustomed to. He's actually, he can get his bars off and not insult you and make you feel too bad. But thank you, Ms. Don, for pulling up, ladies and
thank you
gentlemen. That
so
is,
much, Tony. I really thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to stop by and chat sports with you.
yes, ma'am, man. This my house is your house. Tu casa, mi casa. Next time we do this, you'll be even more comfortable. But ladies and gentlemen, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Get the comments in the section. I just want to give a shout out to my brother again, Goons TV, Uncle Paulie Entertainment, and Al for pulling up in the comment section, interjecting, definitely giving us some interesting stuff to talk about. That's it for this episode. Until the next time, peace.
Alrighty.